You think Allah is punishing you. You replay your mistakes. You count your losses. You ask, what did I do wrong? Listen carefully. If Allah wanted to punish you, He wouldn't wake you up with awareness. He wouldn't pull you closer through pain. He wouldn't make you question your state with Him. Punishment hardens the heart. Training sharpens it. What you're in right now is not rejection, it's preparation, and most people never survive long enough to understand the difference. Here's the hard truth, and listen slowly because most people miss this. When Allah punishes, He does not argue with you. He does not wrestle your heart. He does not disturb your comfort. Punishment is not loud. It's quiet neglect. A punished heart drifts without resistance. Salah doesn't feel heavy because it's difficult. It feels unnecessary. Dua doesn't feel empty because of pain. It feels pointless because the heart no longer expects Allah to respond. Sin stops feeling dangerous. Disobedience feels normal. Repentance feels optional. That is what punishment looks like. Now look at yourself honestly. You're not drifting aimlessly. You're uncomfortable. You're restless. You're questioning. You're reflecting. You're hurting in a way that forces you inward, not outward. You're thinking about Allah more, not less. You're replaying your life, your intentions, your actions. That is not distance. That is attention. Training pulls you closer through friction. Punishment lets you slide away in ease. If Allah were punishing you, you would not feel this tension inside. You wouldn't care enough to examine yourself. You wouldn't feel the weight of your state. You wouldn't be searching for meaning. You wouldn't be here trying to understand what Allah is doing with you. People who are punished don't ask questions. They're satisfied, distracted, entertained, busy chasing comfort and validation. Their lives look stable on the outside, but their hearts are asleep. Allah doesn't chase hearts. He intends to abandon. He lets them go. The moment you stop feeling resistance towards sin, that's danger. The moment disobedience stops bothering you, that's danger. The moment prayer disappears without guilt, that's danger. But that's not what's happening to you. You feel pressure when you delay salah. You feel discomfort when you ignore Allah. You feel unease when you drift. That inner disturbance is not punishment, it's protection. Allah is refusing to let your heart go numb. Think about this carefully. If Allah wanted to punish you, He would give you what you want. He would give you ease without guidance, success without grounding, pleasure without accountability. He would let you feel fine while your akhirah quietly collapses. Instead, He disrupts you. He makes comfort feel unstable. He makes distraction feel hollow. He makes sin taste bitter after a short sweetness. That is not cruelty. That is mercy disguised as pressure. Training hurts because it confronts weakness. It exposes false supports. It forces growth where comfort would allow decay. Allah trains those He wants to keep close. And here's the part people misunderstand. Pain is not proof of Allah's anger. Sometimes pain is proof of Allah's investment. A coach doesn't train the spectators. A teacher doesn't discipline students who've already dropped out. A commander doesn't prepare soldiers. He doesn't intend to deploy. Discipline is not rejection. Neglect is. Your discomfort is evidence that Allah still has expectations of you. Let that sink in. You are not being left alone with your desires. You are not being handed over to your nafs. You are not being allowed to sleepwalk through life. Allah is interrupting you. He's making you aware of your emptiness so you stop filling it with the wrong things. He's making you feel the weight of distance so you don't accept it as normal. He's keeping your conscience alive. A dead heart feels nothing. A trained heart feels pressure. You feel pain because your heart is alive. And yes, training is uncomfortable. It challenges your habits. It removes illusions. It exposes how fragile your reliance on people, stability, or control really was. But it also sharpens sincerity. It deepens humility. It strengthens tawakkul in ways ease never could. Punishment numbs. Training awakens. Ask yourself honestly, are you drifting further from Allah, or are you becoming more conscious of Him even in your confusion? If the thought of Allah still moves you, if His absence still hurts, if His silence still matters to you, then you are not abandoned. You are being worked on. Allah does not abandon hearts that still turn toward Him, even when they stumble. He abandons hearts that stop caring altogether. So stop interpreting discomfort as rejection. Discomfort is Allah refusing to let you settle for spiritual mediocrity. It is the pull of training, not the push of punishment. And the fact that you feel it means Allah still has plans for you. Here's the reality most people don't want to hear. Allah does not build strong believers in comfort. He builds them under pressure. Comfort creates attachment. Pressure creates clarity. When life is easy, people forget Allah without realizing it. They still pray, still speak His name, still claim belief, but their reliance quietly shifts. They rely on routines, income, people, health, predictability. Allah becomes part of life, not the center of it. Pressure exposes that illusion immediately. That's why Allah trains through difficulty, not ease. Pressure strips away what you leaned on without questioning. It forces you to confront how fragile your foundations really were. And that confrontation hurts, because it collapses false confidence. But collapse is necessary before strength is real. Think about it logically. No one develops endurance by resting. No one develops patience by getting everything on time. No one develops tawakkul by controlling outcomes. Those qualities only emerge when control is taken away. Allah removes ease because ease lies to you. It tells you that you're fine when you're not ready. It tells you that you're strong when you're untested. It tells you that your faith is solid when it's never been shaken. Pressure tells the truth, and Allah values truth over comfort. This is why pressure feels personal. It touches exactly where you feel weakest. It hits the area you thought was stable. It disrupts the rhythm you depended on. That's not random. That's precision. Allah does not overwhelm by accident. Every test is measured. Every weight is calculated. Nothing exceeds what you are capable of carrying, even when it feels unbearable in the moment. If this pressure was meant to destroy you, it would have done so already. The fact that you're still breathing, still functioning, still thinking even through pain, is proof the pressure is not punishment. It's conditioning. Pressure forces growth because it leaves you with no shortcuts. You can't rely on motivation. You can't rely on people. You can't rely on predictable outcomes. You're forced to rely on Allah, even when you don't feel strong doing it. That's the point. Strong faith isn't built in emotional highs. It's built in quiet endurance, in consistency without reward, in obedience without reassurance. Allah trains believers to stand when nothing supports them but Him. And here's the part people misunderstand. Pressure is not a sign that Allah wants more from you because you failed. It's a sign He sees more in you than you currently live up to. Allah does not burden those He has no use for. He burdens those He intends to elevate. Weak material snaps early. Strong material bends, reshapes and hardens. The fire doesn't exist to destroy gold. It exists to remove what isn't gold. Pressure burns away arrogance. Pressure burns away false reliance. Pressure burns away shallow faith. What remains is quieter, stronger, and harder to shake. That's why, after pressure, believers are different. Not louder, not flashier, but calmer, more grounded, less desperate for validation, less afraid of loss. Pressure teaches you that survival is possible without what you thought you needed. And that lesson changes you permanently. You start realizing that Allah was not taking from you to harm you. He was subtracting to simplify you, to make your heart lighter, to make your direction clearer. Pressure narrows your focus. When everything is comfortable, your attention scatters. When pressure arrives, distractions fall away. You stop caring about nonsense. You stop chasing approval. You stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. Allah forces you into seriousness because seriousness is required for what's coming next. Comfort delays maturity. Pressure accelerates it. That's why believers who've been trained through hardship carry depth others don't. They don't panic easily. They don't cling desperately. They don't collapse at the first disruption. They've already been there. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If Allah kept you comfortable, you would never reach your potential. You would settle into a smaller version of yourself and call it peace. Allah refuses to let you stay small. So He applies pressure, not to crush you, but to expand your capacity. Every difficulty stretches you internally. Every hardship increases what you can carry. Every moment you survive rewires your understanding of strength. And one day, you'll look back and realize the pressure didn't ruin you. It trained you. It prepared you for responsibilities you couldn't handle before. It built patience you didn't know you needed. It anchored your faith in reality, not emotion. Pressure is Allah saying, "You are capable of more." And He only says that to those He intends to use. 3. Your test is custom, built for your weak spots. Allah does not test people randomly, and He does not recycle the same trial for everyone. Your test is not an accident, and it is not borrowed from someone else's life. It is designed specifically for you, shaped around your personality, your attachments, your fears, and the things you depend on without even realizing it. If Allah wanted to test you in a general way, life would feel vague and distant. But your test feels personal. It touches the exact places that make you uncomfortable. It targets what you hold closest. That is how you know it is intentional. Allah tests where the heart hides. For some people, the weakness is people. Their sense of safety comes from being loved, supported, and constantly affirmed. So Allah introduces loneliness, not to break them, but to show them how fragile it is to build your identity on others. When people are removed, the heart has no option but to turn upward or collapse inward. And Allah watches which direction you choose. For others, the weakness is control. They need plans to work, timelines to make sense, outcomes to be predictable. So Allah brings uncertainty. He disrupts schedules. He delays answers. He allows things to unfold in ways that cannot be managed. Not because He enjoys watching confusion, but because dependence on control is a hidden form of arrogance. Uncertainty humbles the heart and teaches it where real authority lives. For others, the weakness is comfort. They rely on stability, routine, and ease to feel secure. So Allah introduces discomfort, not chaos, but enough instability to shake complacency. Comfort makes faith theoretical. Discomfort makes it practical. When comfort disappears, belief is no longer a concept. It becomes a lifeline. Allah does not test what you don't care about. He tests what competes with Him. That is why your trial feels targeted. It exposes the thing you leaned on more than you realized. It removes the illusion that you were standing on solid ground when, in reality, your foundation was temporary and fragile. This is not cruelty. This is correction. Allah is not trying to hurt you. He is trying to realign you. Every test is a mirror. It shows you where your trust actually lives, not where you claim it lives. It reveals whether Allah was your anchor or just a backup plan. and that revelation can be painful because it dismantles self-deception. Most people don't fail tests because they are weak. They fail because they refuse to see what the test is pointing to. They fight the situation instead of examining the attachment. They ask for relief instead of understanding. They resist the lesson and prolong the process. Allah does not rush lessons that protect you from future destruction. The longer a test lasts, the deeper the attachment it is meant to break. And here is something most people misunderstand. Allah does not remove things you need. He removes things you depend on too much. There is a difference. What you truly need will return in a healthier form. What you depended on in an unhealthy way must either change or leave. That is why after the test, people are never the same. They are not colder, but they are clearer. They are not detached from life, but they are no longer enslaved by it. They still love, but they don't cling. They still plan, but they don't panic. They still hope, but they don't demand. The test rewires the heart. It teaches you that what you thought was essential was actually optional, and what you neglected was essential all along. Allah custom builds tests because generic trials produce shallow results. Personal tests produce transformation. Your weakness is not being exposed to shame you. It is being exposed so it can be healed. And once that weakness no longer controls you, Allah moves you forward. That is how training works. 4. Delay is not denial. It is development. One of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming that if Allah doesn't give something quickly, it means He has refused it. That assumption comes from impatience, not understanding. In reality, denial feels final, delay feels active. And what you are experiencing right now is not a closed door, it is a controlled process. If Allah wanted to deny you, He would remove the desire entirely or make you indifferent to it. But the fact that the longing remains, that the dua keeps returning to your heart, that the hope refuses to die, means the matter is still alive with Allah. Delay is not silence, it is supervision. Allah delays because what you are asking for requires a version of you that does not exist yet. If the answer arrived in your current state, it would either overwhelm you, distract you, or destroy something essential inside you. So Allah works on you first, not the outcome. Most people want results without readiness. Allah prioritizes readiness over speed. You see delay as wasted time. Allah sees it as construction time. During delay, Allah adjusts your intentions. He strips selfish motives. He removes desperation. He teaches you to want the outcome without worshipping it. This internal shift cannot be rushed, because rushed hearts return to old patterns the moment they receive what they asked for. Delay teaches you how to wait without collapsing. It forces you to live without guarantees. It makes you confront impatience, entitlement, and unrealistic expectations. And that confrontation is uncomfortable because it reveals how conditional your trust might have been. Many people trust Allah as long as life moves according to their schedule. Delay exposes whether your trust was real or transactional. Allah is not late, He is precise. Everything arrives when it will benefit you most, not when your emotions demand it. Timing is part of the gift. An early answer can be more harmful than a delayed one, and Allah protects you from that harm even when you don't recognize it. Delay also deepens sincerity. When things don't happen quickly, only genuine faith remains. Casual belief fades, performative patience collapses. What's left is a quieter, more grounded reliance on Allah that does not depend on immediate results. This is why delay often separates people. Some grow bitter, others grow deeper. The situation is the same, but the internal response determines whether delay becomes a punishment or a training ground. Allah delays to strengthen your internal structure, so you don't fall apart when the door finally opens. Because when it does open, it opens fully. What Allah gives suddenly to an unprepared heart becomes a test in itself. What Allah gives after delay becomes a blessing you can carry. Delay also teaches you that your worth is not tied to outcomes. You learn to exist, obey, and trust without constant validation. That independence from results is a form of freedom most people never experience. You stop chasing signs. You stop demanding timelines. You stop bargaining. You begin to submit. And submission is not weakness. It is alignment. By the time the answer arrives, you are no longer the person who begged for it. You are calmer, stronger, less attached, more grateful, more aware of Allah than the gift itself. That transformation is not accidental. It is the reason for the delay. Allah develops you in the waiting so that when you receive, you don't lose yourself. What you call delay, Allah calls preparation. And preparation is mercy. 5. Silence from Allah is part of the training. One of the most difficult phases in a believer's life is when Allah feels silent. You make dua, you try to stay consistent, you avoid what you know is wrong, yet nothing seems to change. No clear signs. No emotional relief. No immediate response. And that silence makes people assume something is wrong. But silence is not absence. Silence is one of the most advanced forms of training Allah gives. When Allah answers quickly, faith is supported by emotion. When Allah delays, faith must stand on conviction. And when Allah is silent, faith is tested at its core. Silence forces you to ask an uncomfortable question. Do you worship Allah for how He makes you feel, or because He is Allah? As long as you receive reassurance, motivation, and visible outcomes, obedience is easier. But when those disappear, obedience becomes honest. You are no longer sustained by emotional reward. You are sustained by belief itself. This is where many people fall away, not because they are evil, but because their faith was conditional. They expected Allah to constantly comfort them, to constantly explain, to constantly reassure. Silence exposes whether you were seeking Allah or seeking the feeling Allah gives. Allah trains believers to stand without constant signs, because in real life, you will not always feel inspired, you will not always feel close, you will not always feel strong. If faith depended on emotion, it would collapse the moment life became heavy. So Allah removes emotional feedback, not to punish you, but to mature your belief. Silence teaches discipline. It teaches consistency without reward. It teaches obedience without applause. It teaches dua without expectation of immediate relief. This is the stage where faith becomes internal, not reactive. When Allah is silent, He is watching how you behave when you don't feel watched. Do you continue to pray when it feels dry? Do you avoid sin when no emotional consequence follows? Do you still turn to Allah when relief doesn't come? These moments build a strength that emotional highs never could. Silence also strips entitlement. Many people unconsciously believe Allah owes them quick answers because they tried, repented, or stayed patient for a short time. Silence dismantles that mindset. It reminds you that Allah is not obligated to respond on your schedule. He responds on His wisdom, and wisdom often operates quietly. Silence forces you to slow down, to listen inwardly, to examine your intentions without distraction. It removes the noise of expectation and leaves you alone with your sincerity. This is where real growth happens. A heart that can remain loyal in silence is a heart that will remain loyal in ease, hardship, and responsibility. That is why Allah trains through silence before He entrusts people with influence, leadership, or blessing, because those who need constant reassurance collapse when responsibility increases. Silence prepares you to act without validation. And there is another truth people miss. Silence protects you from arrogance. If every dua was answered immediately, faith would turn into entitlement. People would believe they control outcomes through effort alone. Silence humble. It teaches you that your role is obedience, not control. That humility anchors faith deeper than emotion ever could. Eventually, the silence lifts. But by then, something important has already changed. You no longer chase signs. You no longer panic at stillness. You trust the process without needing to see it. You have learned to stand without leaning. And that is exactly what Allah was teaching you all along. 6. Pain exposes your true rank with Allah. Pain does not lower your value with Allah. It reveals it. Most people assume that closeness to Allah should mean protection from hardship. They believe that if Allah loves someone, life should become smoother, lighter, and easier. But that assumption collapses the moment you look honestly at how Allah has always worked with His chosen servants. Nearness to Allah does not remove pain, it deepens responsibility. Pain is not distributed equally because hearts are not equal. Allah does not test everyone at the same level, in the same way, or with the same intensity. He tests according to capacity, sincerity, and future purpose. The idea that hardship means rejection is emotionally comforting, but spiritually false. If pain was a sign of low rank, then the most beloved servants of Allah would have lived the easiest lives. But history shows the opposite. The closer a servant is meant to be, the more refined their path becomes. Refinement is uncomfortable by design. Pain strips away illusion. It removes false confidence. It exposes how much of your faith depended on circumstances rather than conviction. It reveals whether you relied on Allah or relied on the absence of difficulty. In ease, everyone appears strong. In pain, truth surfaces. That is why pain is such a powerful measure. It reveals what lives at the core of your heart. Not what you say, not what you intend, but what you actually lean on when everything familiar is shaken. Pain also humbles. It reminds you that strength was never yours, that stability was borrowed, that control was an illusion, and that humility is not meant to humiliate you, it is meant to align you with reality. Allah elevates through humility, not through ego. A heart that has not been broken remains rigid. A rigid heart cannot be shaped. Pain softens what arrogance hardens. It creates space for sincerity, depth, and dependence on Allah that comfort never allows. Pain also reveals patience. Not the performative patience people display when others are watching, but the quiet patience that exists when no one sees your struggle, when you endure without applause, when you continue without reassurance, when you obey without feeling close. That patience is not ordinary, and Allah does not cultivate it in hearts. He does not value. Pain is not proof that Allah is angry with you. Sometimes it is proof that Allah trusts you with something heavy. Allah does not entrust deep trials to shallow hearts. If this pain was meant to destroy you, it would have taken your faith with it. Instead, your faith is being pressured, stretched, tested, but not erased. That matters. Pain that leads you back to Allah is not punishment, it is purification. It removes attachments that would have corrupted you later. It breaks habits that would have weakened you in positions of responsibility. It trains restraint where indulgence would have ruined you. And there is another uncomfortable truth. Pain exposes rank because only those with capacity are tested at depth. Not everyone is trained for resilience. Not everyone is prepared for responsibility. Not everyone is meant to carry weight beyond their own comfort. Allah assigns trials based on what a person can grow into, not just what they are now. Your pain is not random. It is proportional to what Allah sees possible in you. Pain also sharpens awareness. After pain, believers see life differently. They are less impressed by appearances, less shaken by loss, less intoxicated by success. They recognize how quickly things change, and that recognition anchors their faith. They don't cling desperately anymore. They don't panic at disruption. They don't collapse when things fall apart. Pain has already taken them there and brought them back. This is why pain often precedes elevation. Before Allah gives influence, He teaches restraint. Before Allah gives stability, He teaches detachment. Before Allah gives strength, He teaches vulnerability. These lessons cannot be learned in comfort. Pain builds a quiet authority inside a believer, not arrogance but gravity. People who have been through real trials carry a seriousness that cannot be faked. Their words are measured. Their reactions are grounded. Their faith is not fragile. That seriousness is a form of rank. And when Allah raises someone after pain, He raises them without the naivety that ruins others. They understand limits. They respect dependence on Allah. They are not intoxicated by ease. Pain protects future blessings. It prepares you to receive without being destroyed by what you receive. So stop interpreting pain as proof that Allah is displeased with you. Pain may be the evidence that Allah is refining you for a level you are not yet standing on. And refinement always hurts. But it also always reveals who you truly are with Allah. 7. Training always comes before deployment. Allah does not place people into meaningful roles without preparing them first. He does not hand responsibility to untrained hearts, and He does not elevate people whose foundations cannot carry weight. Before anything significant happens through you, something significant must happen within you. Training always precedes deployment. Most people want impact without preparation. They want influence without discipline, relief without refinement, and answers without transformation. But Allah does not operate that way. He prepares quietly, slowly, and thoroughly. Training happens in isolation. Before Allah places someone in front of people, He often removes people. Before He gives visibility, He gives obscurity. Before He grants strength, He allows internal collapse. This isolation is not abandonment, it is focus. It removes noise, distraction, and dependency on external validation. When you are alone, your intentions surface. There is no audience to perform for, no approval to chase, no image to maintain. Only sincerity remains. And sincerity is the foundation of any lasting role Allah gives. Training also happens through confusion. Allah does not explain everything in advance. He allows uncertainty so that obedience is not dependent on understanding. This is where submission becomes real. You learn to move without clarity, to trust without guarantees, and to act without reassurance. Clarity too early would weaken you. It would make obedience conditional. So Allah lets you walk without seeing the full path. This builds resilience. A person who has never navigated confusion collapses when responsibility increases. A person who has already learned to stand in uncertainty becomes steady under pressure. Training also happens through failure. Allah allows you to make mistakes so you learn humility. He lets you fall so you learn recovery. He lets you experience weakness so you don't lead from arrogance later. Failure under Allah's supervision is not disgrace. It is instruction. People who have never failed often break when they finally do. People who have been trained through failure learn how to repent, adjust, and continue without losing direction. That ability is essential for anyone Allah intends to use. Training also reshapes your character. Allah is not only concerned with what you do, but who you become while doing it. Skill without character is dangerous. Influence without restraint is destructive. Knowledge without humility leads to corruption. So Allah works on your patience, your ego, your reactions, your emotional discipline, your ability to endure without becoming bitter. These qualities are not optional, they are required. Before Allah trusts someone with responsibility, He tests whether they can carry weight without becoming harsh, rigid, or resentful. Training exposes these tendencies early so they can be corrected. Training also teaches detachment from outcomes. When you are trained long enough, you stop chasing results. You focus on obedience. You act because it is right, not because it feels rewarding. That detachment protects you from burnout, arrogance, and despair. People who need results to function cannot survive long-term responsibility. Allah trains you to serve without needing immediate success. Deployment comes only after this internal work is complete, and when it comes, it often comes suddenly. Quiet preparation leads to visible placement. Years of unseen training produce moments that look effortless to outsiders. People will think you are lucky. They will say things worked out for you. They will not see the nights of restraint, the seasons of waiting, the internal battles, the private discipline. But Allah saw all of it. Deployment does not mean ease, it means readiness. When Allah places you where He intends to use you, you are no longer fragile. You are grounded. You are aware of your limits. You know where strength comes from. You do not panic when things shift. You have been trained for this. That is why the process felt long. That is why it felt heavy. That is why it felt lonely and confusing at times. Allah was not delaying your life. He was preparing you for it. And when deployment happens, it will make sense why training could not be skipped. Because what Allah is building through you requires a foundation that only training can create. 8. When Allah trains you, He also removes your illusions. One of the least talked about parts of Allah's training is illusion removal. Before Allah strengthens you, He first strips you of false beliefs about yourself, about people, and about how life actually works. This stage is uncomfortable because it feels like loss, but in reality, it is correction. Illusions make faith fragile. As long as you believe you are strong because of your skills, your intelligence, your discipline, or your planning, your faith is conditional. As long as you believe people will always show up, systems will always work, or effort will always guarantee results, your reliance is divided. Allah removes illusions because divided reliance collapses under real pressure. This is why training often begins with disappointment. People let you down, plans fail, effort doesn't produce expected outcomes. You do everything right and still lose. That moment is not meant to make you cynical. It is meant to wake you up. Allah is showing you that life does not operate on your assumptions. Illusions feel safe because they simplify reality. They make you believe that control is possible if you just try hard enough. But control is not safety, it is arrogance disguised as responsibility. Allah dismantles that illusion early so it doesn't destroy you later. Another illusion Allah removes is the belief that righteousness guarantees ease. Many people subconsciously believe that if they pray, avoid major sins, and try to be good, life should reward them. When hardship arrives, that belief collapses and confusion sets in. Training corrects that misunderstanding. Obedience is not a transaction. Faith is not insurance against difficulty. Worship is not leverage. Allah is not obligated to remove hardship because you are trying. When this illusion breaks, faith matures. You stop obeying for outcomes and start obeying because Allah is Allah. That shift is critical. Without it, belief remains shallow and collapses the moment expectations are not met. Allah also removes the illusion of self-sufficiency. You may have believed you were independent because things were working. You thought your resilience came from personality, Your patience came from discipline. Your calm came from stability. Training shows you how quickly those things disappear. When Allah removes what supported you, you discover how much of your strength was borrowed. That realization humbles the heart in a way lectures never could. It teaches you that strength does not originate from you. It flows through you by Allah's permission. This humility is not meant to shrink you. It is meant to ground you. Grounded believers are stable. They don't panic when conditions change. They don't inflate when things go well. They understand that everything can shift at any moment, and that awareness keeps them anchored. Allah also removes illusions about people. You learn that not everyone who smiles supports you. Not everyone who promises stays. Not everyone who benefits from you respects you. This is painful, but necessary. A believer who depends emotionally on people will break under responsibility. Allah trains you to be compassionate without being dependent, to be connected without being controlled, and to care without clinging. When illusions about people fall away, loyalty to Allah strengthens. You stop expecting creation to provide what only the Creator can. Training also removes illusions about time. You realize that urgency does not create outcomes, that rushing does not produce barakah, that some things cannot be forced no matter how intense the desire is. This teaches patience rooted in reality, not optimism. You learn to move steadily instead of desperately. You learn to trust timing instead of fighting it. This discipline protects you from burnout, resentment, and impulsive decisions. By the time illusions are removed, you are quieter but stronger, less reactive but more resilient, less naive but more sincere. This stage feels like losing certainty, but in truth, you are gaining clarity. Clarity is uncomfortable because it strips fantasy, but clarity is essential for strength. Allah does not want you walking through life blind to how fragile things are. He wants you alert, grounded, and aware. That awareness is protection. When illusions are gone, faith becomes clean. You no longer worship expectations. You worship Allah. You no longer trust appearances. You trust Him. You no longer panic when things fall apart, because you already know they can. This is why illusion removal feels harsh. It confronts the parts of you that wanted guarantees. But Allah never promised guarantees. He promised guidance. And guidance requires clarity. Once illusions are gone, training accelerates. You stop resisting reality. You stop fighting lessons. You stop asking why and start asking how to respond. That shift marks maturity. And maturity is necessary for anything Allah intends to build through you. What feels like loss at this stage is actually vision being restored. Allah is not taking from you. He is removing what would have misled you. 9. After training, Allah expects a different version of you. This is the part most people don't like to hear, but it matters. When Allah trains you, He is not doing it so you can return to who you were before. Training is not meant to comfort your old habits, validate your previous mindset, or restore life exactly as it was. Training changes expectations. And once you've been trained, Allah holds you to a higher standard. You are not punished for what you didn't know, but you are accountable for what you now understand. After pressure, delay, silence, pain, isolation, and illusion removal, Allah expects awareness. He expects restraint. He expects maturity. You cannot go through all of that and then live casually, speak carelessly, react impulsively, or cling to the same weaknesses. Training rewires responsibility. Before, mistakes came from ignorance. After training, mistakes come from choice. And Allah treats those two very differently. This is why some people feel uneasy even after the hardship passes. Life improves, but something inside has shifted. Old distractions don't satisfy. Old conversations feel empty. Old patterns feel heavy. That discomfort is not negativity, it is growth outpacing your environment. Allah is signaling that you cannot return to spiritual autopilot. After training, Allah expects you to move with intention, to pray with awareness, to speak with restraint, to choose with wisdom. You are no longer allowed the same excuses you once relied on. This is not harshness, it is trust. Allah does not raise expectations for people He plans to discard. He raises expectations for people He intends to use. Training creates internal authority. You begin to recognize when something is beneath you spiritually, even if it is socially acceptable. You feel resistance toward shortcuts you once took. You sense hesitation before reacting emotionally. That internal pause is evidence of development. Allah expects you to listen to it. After training, emotional reactions are no longer justified the same way. You have seen how fragile life is. You have learned restraint through pressure. You understand consequences at a deeper level. So impulsiveness becomes negligence. After training, dependence on people feels dangerous. You have already learned what disappointment teaches, so clinging becomes a refusal to apply the lesson. After training, heedlessness feels heavy. You know what awareness costs, so distraction becomes ingratitude. This is why some people struggle after hardship more than during it. During training, everything is clearly difficult. After training, the challenge is maintaining discipline when ease returns. Ease after training is itself a test. Will you keep the humility you learned? Will you keep the boundaries you formed? Will you keep Allah at the center now that the pressure has eased? Allah watches closely at this stage, not with anger, but with expectation, because training was not survival, it was preparation, and preparation implies responsibility. You are now expected to respond differently to stress, to speak differently under pressure, to prioritize differently when life demands choices. You are expected to protect your heart, not expose it casually, to value your faith, not gamble with it. This is where many people fail. They ask Allah to remove hardship, but they do not want the responsibility that comes with growth. They want relief without maturity, comfort without discipline. But Allah does not waste training. If He invested this much effort into shaping you, He expects you to honor that investment. That does not mean perfection. It means awareness. It means accountability. It means you no longer live unconsciously. When you fall, you recover faster. When you slip, you repent quicker. When you sense danger, you pull back sooner. That responsiveness is what Allah is looking for. After training, you are not meant to be louder. You are meant to be steadier. Not harsher, but clearer. Not distant, but less entangled. Allah expects you to carry yourself like someone who has seen what collapse feels like and survived it, because you have. And that survival came with lessons you are now responsible to live by. Training ends, but expectation begins. And that expectation is a sign that Allah still has plans for you. 10. When training ends, gratitude becomes your protection. When Allah completes a phase of training, the greatest danger is not hardship returning. The greatest danger is forgetting what the hardship taught you. This is why gratitude is not an optional emotion after training. It is a form of protection. Gratitude locks lessons in place. Without gratitude, people reinterpret their past pain as meaningless suffering instead of purposeful training. They distance themselves from the very experiences that shaped them, and in doing so, they reopen old weaknesses. Gratitude does not mean enjoying pain. It means recognizing what pain prevented. It means acknowledging how close you were to becoming someone weaker, more arrogant, more attached, or more lost. It means understanding that what felt like loss was often rescue in disguise. Allah expects gratitude after training because ingratitude invites regression. When people forget the process, they repeat the patterns. When they minimize what Allah saved them from, they become careless. When they romanticize ease, they expose themselves to the same collapse again. Gratitude keeps you alert. It reminds you how quickly life can shift. It reminds you how fragile control is. It reminds you that guidance is not guaranteed without effort. This awareness creates discipline. A grateful heart moves differently. It does not rush into arrogance when things improve. It does not abandon prayer because life feels stable. It does not return to old dependencies because the pressure is gone. Gratitude anchors you to reality. After training, Allah watches how you interpret your past. Do you see only what you lost, or do you see what you were spared from becoming? Do you see only the pain, or do you see the clarity it produced? Your interpretation determines your future stability. Gratitude also protects you from entitlement. People who forget training often develop a subtle sense of, "I deserve ease now." That mindset is dangerous. It turns blessings into expectations and patience into resentment the moment something goes wrong. Gratitude neutralizes entitlement. It reminds you that nothing is owed, that everything is given, that every moment of clarity, strength, and stability is a mercy, not a reward you earned. This keeps your heart soft, even in strength. Gratitude also preserves humility. Training shows you your limits. Gratitude keeps you from forgetting them. It prevents you from speaking down to others who are still in their trials. It reminds you how you once struggled, doubted, and needed patience. A grateful believer does not look down on those still being trained. They recognize stages. Allah values this humility because it reflects understanding. People who truly learned from training do not become harsh. They become gentle without being weak. Gratitude also deepens connection with Allah. After hardship, it is easy to relax spiritually, to enjoy relief. To assume the relationship is stable, gratitude resists that drift. It keeps remembrance alive, not out of fear, but out of recognition. You remember who carried you when you could not carry yourself. That memory strengthens loyalty. Gratitude transforms training into wisdom. Pain without reflection hardens people. Pain with gratitude matures them. One produces bitterness, the other produces depth. Allah wants the second. This is why gratitude is mentioned alongside patience throughout faith. Patience carries you through training. Gratitude preserves you after it. Together, they create stability. And here is the final truth. Gratitude is not passive. It shows in behavior, in restraint, in priorities, in how you respond when tested again. A grateful heart does not panic at difficulty. It recognizes patterns. It trusts timing. It returns to Allah quickly. Gratitude becomes your shield, not because it stops hardship, but because it prevents you from collapsing when hardship returns. Because training does not mean life will never test you again. It means you are now equipped to handle it differently. And gratitude ensures you never forget that. When training ends, gratitude keeps you grounded. It protects the lessons. It protects the heart. And it keeps you aligned with the one who trained you in the first place. Now understand this clearly. Allah was never trying to hurt you. He was never trying to break you. And He was never pushing you away. Everything you went through had direction. Punishment makes people careless. Training makes people conscious. Punishment lets hearts drift. Training keeps hearts awake. And if your heart is awake right now, reflecting, aware, cautious, returning, then you were never abandoned. You were being shaped. What felt like loss was protection. What felt like delay was alignment. What felt like silence was discipline. What felt like pain was refinement. Allah removed what weakened you, exposed what misled you, and pressured what needed strengthening. Not because you were failing, but because you were capable of more. And now the responsibility is yours. You don't go back to who you were. You don't waste what you learned. You don't treat clarity casually. You move forward with awareness, restraint, and gratitude. Because Allah does not train hearts without purpose, and He does not prepare people for nothing. If you are still standing, still aware, still turning back, then this was never punishment. It was preparation, and what comes next will require exactly who you've become.